Welcome, little scientists. It's Miss Gisa, and today we're going to continue learning about bees in this story called Honeybee, the busy life of Apis mellifera. Tongues lick, antennae touch, bodies clamber and scramble over thin wax comb. The new bee rests, soft, fuzzy, and female, like all newly emerged worker bees. Her scientific name is Apis mellifera, or Apis for short. Crawling to a cell packed with sticky, rich pollen, Apis eats and eats and eats some more. Her wings dry, her color darkens to a warm yellow-orange. Her muscles grow strong. Strong enough for flying? What do you guys think? Not yet. Cleaning comes first. Apis's first job is to tidy the hive's nursery. She hauls away leftover bits, carts off old wax caps, leaves each cell ready for a new bee egg. When she returns 3 days old, special glands behind her face swell and expand. Soon she is ready for her next job. Flying? What do you guys think? Do you think she's ready for flying? Not yet. Nursing. The grub-like larvae get all her attention. She checks them, inspects them, feeds them a milky sweet liquid made with those glands. On Apis's 8th day of life, she leaves the nursery. For flying? Do you think she's ready yet? Not yet. Queen tending. Long and graceful, the queen glides across the combs. 2,000 times a day, the queen stops to drop a single egg into a single cell, pearly white, half the size of a grain of rice. Each will grow into a bee. The queen doesn't have time to take care of herself, so Apis and the others groom her with their forelegs, examine her with their tongues, feed her a drop of sweet brewed food, worker mouth to queen mouth. As they do, they pick up the queen's scent with their antennae. Legs, tongues. They pass the scent along to the rest of the nest, a message that the queen is healthy and safe. When Apis turns 12 days old, glands in her abdomen begin making flakes of white wax. It's time for her new job. Flying? Not yet. Comb building. Using her wax, her sharp, spoon-shaped jaws, and her legs, she shapes, molds, maneuvers to create cells. But Apis is not a builder for long. 3 days later, she starts flying. What do you guys think? Do you think she's ready now? Not yet. Food handling. Apis stands on soft honeycomb, waiting. A forager bee approaches. Dusted with pollen and smelling of sunshine and fresh air, she is loaded with nectar, food for the colony. Apis creeps towards her. Furry heads bump, and the forager brings up the nectar into her open mouth. Sticking out her straw-like tongue, Apis sips up the nectar. She folds and unfolds, folds and unfolds, folds and unfolds her mouth until the nectar grows thicker, stickier. She stores the half-dried nectar in an empty cell. Over the next few days, it will ripen into honey. When Apis turns 18 days old, she is ready to start her life outside. Flying? Do you think she's finally ready? Not yet. Guarding against birds or bears and bees from other nests. Patrolling a tiny patch by the hive's entrance, Apis sniffs each incoming worker with her antennae. Friend or foe? 2 bees hover nearby. Apis bends her antennae toward them and tests the air. They do not smell like members of her colony. She stands on her hind legs. They do not act like colony members. Apis lets off an alarm scent to warn the others. Robber bees. They've come to steal honey from the nest. Apis flings herself at one of them. The 2 grab hold of each other's legs. They curl their abdomens. They roll and grapple. Apis buzzes, bites, burrows. She is willing to give up her life to protect her nest and its honey. She bites harder, shaking her off. The robber flies away. At last, on the 25th day of her life, with the sun just rising and the dew still drying, she leaps from the nest and flies. Thousands of other bees rise from the nest too, first to orient themselves and then to forage for water, or collect a sticky plant sap called propolis, a kind of bee glue, or gather pollen. And Apis? She is in search of sweet nectar. Her antennae taste the breeze. Milkweed, coneflower, clover. She can smell the sugary goodness inside their blossoms. Apis follows the floral odor for miles, wings beating 200 times a second, until she circles down. She alights on a blossom. She scrambles over its petals, searching for nectar inside. Poking her long tongue deep inside the flower, she sips and swallows and skips to the next flower. The sugary fluid does not go into her belly. It goes into a special sac called a honey stomach. This is how Apis will carry her nectar home. As she visits each flower, grains of pollen stick to her brushy body. They cling to her bristly legs. She carries this pollen from flower to flower, brushing it off, picking it up, pollinating the field. At last, her honey stomach weighs almost as much as she does. Then, wings working hard, she flies back to the hive, where she gives up her nectar to a food handler. Now, will she rest? What do you think? She's worked really hard. No, she will dance. Wagging her tail, Apis circles to the left, then to the right. She runs in a long straight line. Other bees gather around. They listen to the vibrations of her dance. Apis is giving directions. She is telling them the nectar's sweet. She is asking them to go there too. Soon a stream of bees head for her find. Apis makes 9 more trips that day, gathering, pollinating, before the sun finally sets and she can rest. But she will go back tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. She grows thinner and slower. She loses her hair. Her wings fray and tatter. Summertime bees do not live long, and Apis is now 35 days old. She has flown back and forth between nest and blossoms, 500 miles in all. She has visited 30,000 flowers. She has collected enough nectar to make 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. Her work is done. On the morning Apis drops to the ground, the air is warm, the sun is rising, and the nectar is sweet. She rolls to her back, her legs move limply, her wings beat weakly. Above her, blossoms nod in the summer breeze. Apis stills. And back in the nest, a brand new honeybee squirms, pushes, chews through the wax cap of her solitary cell and into a teeming, trembling flurry. Let's take a look at the parts of a bee. Can you find the wings? Apis has 2 pairs of wings. The front pair is much bigger than the back pair. A row of hooks on each back pair fits into a groove on the front pair. This holds the wings together, giving Apis a smoother, faster flight. Can you find Apis' stinger? The stinger is almost invisible until used. It's located inside a special chamber at the very end of Apis' abdomen. The stinger is extended only when she senses danger. As the stinger penetrates skin, venom is pumped into her venom sac, also located in the abdomen. It is this venom that causes the bee sting to hurt. Bees can only sting humans and other mammals once. Stinging kills the bee. Where are Apis' legs? Apis has 3 pairs of legs. Her forelegs have hairy brushes on them, used to remove dust, dirt, and pollen from her head, as well as an antennae cleaner. through which her antennae can be pulled and swept clean. The middle legs are used to remove pollen that has accumulated on the thorax, which is then pushed back to the hind legs. They pack it into the pollen baskets. The pollen baskets are located on the outside of the hind legs, one on the right, one on the left. When the baskets are full, Apis returns to the hive. With her middle legs, she removes the pollen from her baskets and passes it to another worker who stores it by pressing it into an empty cell. Can you find Apis's eyes? Apis has 5 eyes. Her 2 big eyes, called compound eyes, take up most of her head and are used to distinguish light and color, making them especially useful for spying flowers. Her 3 tiny eyes, called ocelli, are too small to be seen. They are arranged in a triangular pattern between her compound eyes. They have just one purpose, determining the brightness and intensity of light. Can you find Apis's antennae? The antennae, located on either side of Apis's triangle-shaped head, are her nose. Swiveling in all directions, they pick up thousands of scents, including flowers and the chemicals that transmit messages in the hive. Super sensitive, the antennae can also detect the nest's temperature as well as its humidity level. What's more, Apis uses her antennae to guide her as she moves inside the dark hive for taste and for measuring her flight speed. A proboscis. This long straw-like organ has many functions. It can be used to reach into flowers and suck up the nectar, as well as to ingest water and honey. Additionally, it is used to exchange food between worker bees, as well as between workers and the queen. And it is used for communication. After licking pheromones from the queen, workers pass them on to others. And finally, Apis's mandibles. These powerful, spoon-shaped jaws have lots of uses, including cutting, shaping, and maneuvering wax for hive construction, dragging dead bees and other debris out of the nest, grooming, fighting, and holding on to surfaces. Now, can you find her head? What about the thorax? That's the middle part of her body. And finally, can you find her abdomen in the back? All insects' bodies are divided into 3 parts. Now, join me for an activity. All right, little scientists, let's go over the parts of a bee, and then I'm going to show you how to use these 3-part cards to do another activity at home. You should have these in your packets for this week. We are going to start, you can go ahead and color the honeybee, and for the honeybee you can color the whole honeybee. I'm not going to color it here because I know you can handle that at home. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut the name off. So we call this a 3-part card because it's 1, 2, 3. And the way you use this, and you do not need this at home. You could do this flat on the table. You find the card, the honeybee, and then you look for the picture that matches and the words that match. Okay? And we'll do this a little bit more after we color all of our other pictures. So let's start. We know that all insects have 3 parts of their body. There is the head, and then you can also color the head on the 3-part card. So we'll set that aside, the head. The thorax. Do you remember where the thorax is? That's right, it's the middle. It's the second part of a bee's body. And then the abdomen, which is the back part. And I'm going to color the abdomen black and yellow, because that's the color that honeybees are, right? So you're only going to color the part of the body that's written on your card. And you're going to do that for both cards, because remember, we're going to cut these apart and match them. Okay, now the next one we're going to color is the antenna, and it has two antennae, so we call those antennae. And remember that these help the honeybee sense things. So they move around in their head, and it helps them touch and smell. There are the antennae. Now, do you know how many eyes a bumblebee has? A bee has 5 eyes. How many eyes do you have? So they have these two big eyes are called compound eyes. And each compound eye has many different cells. And this helps the honeybee see light and see big pictures and see everything in front of it in a nice wide picture. And it's called, those are the compound eyes. Honeybees also have 3 smaller eyes in addition to their compound eyes, and these simple eyes are located above the compound eyes and are sensitive to light but can't really see images. So here's the simple eye. And the simple eyes, there are 3 of them, and they're located right above the compound eyes. And they are sensitive to light, but they cannot see images. So that's why the 2 compound eyes help with that part. Now, there are 6 legs, just like every insect, 2 in the front, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the back, which we call the hind legs. So we're going to start with the middle legs here. Those are the middle. And these are the hind legs. Now, something really interesting about honeybees is that on their hind legs, kind of where you would think their knees are, right here, there are pollen sacs where they gather the pollen. That's where they store it to bring back to the hive. Down here, these are called the pollen combs. Their legs are very hairy, and they have these little combs at the bottom to help them get that pollen off the flower and then into the sacs, which are right in the middle of their hind legs. So let's color the pollen combs. And now let's look at the wings. Honeybees have 4 wings. 2 of them are the forewings. That means they're in the front. Those are the forewings. And you'll color them on both sides, and you'll color them on both pictures. And then hind wings are back here. They're behind the forewings. Do you see those smaller wings? Okay, and then we've already done our eyes, and those are the different parts of a bee. Now what you can do is cut each of the 3 parts, then we'll mix them all up. So we'll put all the words with the picture together. And then we will cut the second picture, we'll cut the words off. So you have to really pay attention to the parts and the words. And you can play different little games with this all week long. And you can teach your parents. And if you have siblings or grandparents, you can teach them the parts of a bee. And I bet you they won't know them, so you can teach it to them. You can teach them something new. I always love learning something new every day. All right, ready to see how this works? I'm going to shuffle these up. All right, here's the forewings. Remember, we talked about those. Those help the bee fly, and those are the wings that are in the front. So now I have to find my other forewings. The antenna. There it is. Forewings, and then I have to find the word forewing. Starts with an F. Might be easier to have them spread out. Here it is. Forewing. Forewing. All right, let's look. Next one is antennae. And there are the matching antennae. And antennae starts with an A, antennae. Here it is. All right, how about one more? Let's do the head. Let's find the head. Here's the head. Matching picture, the head. And then head starts with a H, head. There we go. So now you can work on this same activity at home. Have fun. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to like and subscribe to support our channel.